Hello, this is Mary Jo at Fred's Used Websites, and this is our second video addressing tables. In the last video, we inserted several tables into the editable portion of this page, and now I want to help you use them effectively for different sorts of information that you might want to space out across the editable portion of your page. So right now I want to show you one way to fix a table that got corrupted. When we left this table, we had the top two rows were corrupted here in this area because I had not placed spaces in those cells before I submitted the change to accept this table insertion. The best way to handle this is to, wherever you have a cell or cells that are corrupted, in this case, because I have two stacked on top of one another, I'm simply going to put my cursor in the bottom cell of that column and take it out. So if I take out that column, I'm going to be left with a two-column table, and I can insert another column in its place. For some reason, that's not going away. Okay, so I instead took out the center column, and I'm going to take out those top two rows. And I'm going to be left with just one row with two columns. And now I can add a row to the right. Excuse me, that was a column that I added. And now I can add a row to the bottom. I will tell you that whenever a table becomes corrupted, or even if it's not corrupted, for instance, if I have a table, I'm going to put spaces in each of these to make sure I don't lose them. If I want to merge these two cells, for some reason I have enough information that I want them to be merged. If my cursor is in this row that has one cell that's a third of the width of the table and the other cell is 2/3 of the width of the table, and I add a row beneath it, it's going to have the same formatting. If I add a row above it, it's going to have the same formatting because the cursor, where I had the cursor placed, is the relation point for the additional cells or rows. Therefore, in the top row, it's in thirds. So if I add a row on top of that, that row is also in thirds. I haven't moved my cursor. If I add a row beneath it, that row is also in thirds. It holds the formatting of the row or the cell where your cursor was placed when you added additional cells. And if I did that and I didn't want to lose any of these cells, I would make sure that I have placed my cursor in each one and at least given it a space. I have some lorem ipsum here, and that's just dummy text. I'm going to click on the tab next to it, and as you can see here, I've generated some lists, some bulleted lists, and I'm just going to take those lists and copy them, go back to my table, and I'm just going to paste them in there. I just did a Control V after I put my cursor in that cell, and the cell grows to accommodate whatever you've placed in it. I'm going to also grab some text, and it so happens that I just did paragraphs, so I'm going to grab two. These are rather large paragraphs for demonstration purposes. They're a bit big, but you'll see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to do a control paste there. Now, as you can see, that because there's so much text and that it had to grow to accommodate it, the table is misshapen now and uneven looking. What I could do would be to click anywhere in the table, click on this Insert or Edit Table icon, and the first thing I think I would do if I were trying to format this information so it looked better, I would make this table 100% of the editable portion of this page. That would give me a little bit more room. And then I think I would make this column on the right where I have that bulleted list. I'm going to choose the cell icon. I'm going to say that it should be probably 33%, just 1/3 of it. And I'm going to update this entire column. Now that looks a little bit better. It's just going to depend on how you want the information spaced. But I wanted to make sure I showed you how to hold the formatting, because here, remember, first we had equal thirds, and this one evidently I did not make it 66%. And I'm going to update that entire column as well. There, that's much better. So if you use percentages on your table width, you're going to have a much more sure effect on how you are spacing things in the table, and how you're displaying the table within that editable portion. And that's the end of part 2 on tables.